Hello, my beautiful mimosas. Today, you are going to receive a very personal share. I've been wanting to do this for the last couple of days. My eldest daughter is turning 18 years old, and I just asked her permission and my youngest to share a little bit more about their astrology if I so feel called on this video. And they both said yes, and I didn't even ask my beautiful middle child because I know it's a no from her. So obviously I'm not gonna ask her. Today's video is called How I Healed My Relationship with My Daughter. And I am referring to my firstborn daughter. This video is not only to support you as a muse, inspire you and or give you insights into my own healing journey, but I'm obviously going to do it from the lens of the sacred, mystical, universal teachings, because that's the work I do. And thank you to my daughter. She helped to begin an activation process that I didn't even know I needed. So I have spoken about her. There's one podcast that I actually did with her. I believe she's in 2 of my podcasts. I've spoken about her. So you can go back and actually listen to those. I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty, but I do want to give you a framework that not only can support you with your daughters and sons, they can also help you for your partner, for your beloved other, because it was the same steps, the same themes are the ones that I actually also had to go within and feel and have this alchemical process. And remember and integrate and of course release and rewrite contracts and do so much. So this is a long time coming. My daughter turns 18. That's a number 9 in numerology. We totally both feel like we are in a new era of relationship. And it's so beautiful. And so I actually was speaking to one of my beautiful mimosas a while back about how I really feel that the more we do our own inner healing, come back into our inner wholeness, healing equals wholeness, the more we free our children, the more we let them be, the more we radically accept, the more we just allow them to be free as they should be. And so for me, that was actually a really hard process. Even me being somebody who, quote unquote, was working with mothers for a long time before even having children. It was obviously, since it's my life's work, one of my passions within my life's work, which is the conscious mothering part. It's no surprise that obviously I had a lot of healing in that area of my life. So I actually want to share with you all, I'm going to begin with sharing with you all the 4 mystical themes, a little bit about the dynamics, and whatever I feel like sharing. I'm going to allow that to just be a flow. And at the end, I'm going to share with you 7 alchemical activation prayers that I wrote in what I thought was going to be a book called Dear Diary for My Divine Daughters. For now, it's just those prayers, and they're actually in order of the chakras, so from 1 to 7. So if you would actually like the PDF of these, write me, let me know, and I'd love to give them to you in case they can support you in any shape, way, or form. I'd love to give that to you. So going back to 4, our 4 sacred mystical themes. Number 1, it was never personal. Number 2, you called this in. I feel like saying bitch. You called this in, bitch. We called it in. I called this in, bitch. You called it in. We called it in. Number 3, the alchemical acceptance, de amor. That's the radical acceptance of what is. And number 4, your mama karma. Your mama karma. So I'm going to explain them. So number 1, it was never personal, meaning that beautiful being that we called forth came in with a beautiful life lesson that was going to be our gift for us. We can also see that within our partners and within our relationship with our parents. It's like that deep understanding and that point where we recognize that these are actually holy contracts that are here to help us to heal, and they're actually here so they can help us hear that there's a clearing that needs to be had. There's a deep reverence that needs to be lived within each and every one of us as human beings in order to make peace with our own sacred feminine lineage, our own sacred masculine lineage, from our mother, from our father, and then from our mother's side and our father's side and ancestors beforehand. And so there's this deep reckoning, recognition, remembrance that's wanting to be had within us. And so we called forth a child. Whether you were wanting in the modern sense of the word, I wasn't ready, I didn't want a child. Like all of these terms were already calling forth the vibration, like I didn't want you here, I wasn't ready for you here. And if that was part of your contract, that's okay. Like embrace and love up any shame that you feel for that or any guilt. It's all the process, and it was never personal. It was not like, oh my God, like life wanted to, give you this card. I was gonna say, I'm not even gonna say the BAD word. It's never about that. And remember when I'm speaking about how I healed my relationship with my daughter, I really do see this hand in hand with her father, with my husband, that I was going through a healing journey, me first and foremost. And through her being the mirror, I was actually able to heal all the same mirrors that she was putting up. Many of them were actually mirrored by my husband, and they were mirrored by my father, and they were mirrored through my ancestry line. So you see how whatever is happening in relationship with your child, they're sick, they have these behaviors that annoy you. You don't understand them deeply in their soul. You want to fix them or make them better. Like all of these things that we quote unquote want to do as good parents. It's actually bullshit. It's bullshit. Yes, we all, obviously parentheses, don't come at me. You know what I'm talking about. Of course, we're going to tell them to pick up after themselves. Of course, if they're hurtful for you, you're going to tell them that hurt me and, et cetera, et cetera. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that I lost a train of thought. So I'm just going to let it be. I'm going to let it be. So the imprint, number 1, it was never personal. So meaning that story that we hold on to for dear life, there could be another way that we look at the story, that we talk about the story, that we wish the story to be told in a new light, that we wish to write a new story of our relationship with our child or of our partner. And so understanding, like at the core, it was never personal, number 1, is the mystical teaching of the divine paradox. It is the mystical teaching of immanence and transcendence. Immanence being that the divine is everywhere. It's like speaking about the oneness, right? The divine is everywhere. And at the same time, we in our own human form, we don't have the language, we can't even begin to share in this wild mystery and this totality that we can't even explain. And we just can't as human beings explain it all right now. We just can't. And so that is part of the wild mystery, that you might love being a mother and you might have had very hard seasons or a very hard season in your life, and you don't quite understand the paradox. But that is the paradox, not only of becoming a mother, but of being alive. So you see that there is no separation in what we call, like, what most mothers that we know, if they're being truthful, it is the hardest, most difficult, most humbling, most activating, most can be traumatizing experience to be a mother. And at the same time, it can be the most beautiful, the most inspiring, the most loving, the most awakening. So both of those can coexist. So can we allow ourselves, I love how now when I say selves, like ourself, like cells comes to mind. So can we allow ourselves and ourselves to remember that it was actually always, if we sum up all of these 4 sacred themes, and that's why I'm putting it in number 1, because it's so paradoxical, that it was always all about the love. Can I remember the love when it's all about the love when I'm living a winter season and just the hardest moment with my child or with my partner or with my ex or with my mother or with my father? And if I've shut them out of my life, can I actually go into those spaces internally and actually heal them? You know that you have healed in wholeness with your lineage when your contracts are cleared, when you stop having dreams that tell you, that share with you messages or that activate you, when you feel peace and love and forgiveness and acceptance, and you don't feel triggered anymore. And that, for many of us, is a very long journey. It might be a whole lifetime journey, and possibly not even this lifetime journey. And so embracing the paradox that every single one of us is living a different reality with our past, and at the same time remembering this sacred core teaching that it was and is always all about the love that you are going to grow and feel towards yourself. And you're very choosing your body, choosing your child, choosing your partner, whether you're still with that said partner. It's like really clearing every single thread. And again, this might take years or decades in order not to keep passing down what we said that we needed to do. So if we want to take something personal, in this number 1 is take personal your personal responsibility, that it is your right responsibility. And you've heard me speak about rites of passages, that this is your rite of passage. You're not in your next rite of passage. This has shown up in your life to help it be the most sacred rite of passage of your rebirth. And so can you hold all of the layers, all of the paradoxes, the love, the hatred, the anger, the grief, the yearning and the longing for more love? Can you allow all of it to coexist? Because when you do, that is the said longing prayer to God, to life, to whatever it is that you believe in. And God, show me the way. Like, I'm not understanding this. I'm not understanding the why, and I don't need to. And it's that surrender period of show me the way. So number one is the remembrance. If you can remember anything about number one, it was always all about the love. Take that to your person, to your personal heart, to your personal invitation, and see your child as that mirror. I remember the first couple of years just being in trauma response, and my mind was always spinning between anger and fall. Like, it was just like, there was just so many layers when my firstborn was born. And it took me years to start to unpack my father wound. And I'm not talking about from my mind. I'm talking about from my body, from my like lived body reactions that I would have towards my daughter. I say this, especially now as I work with creating with my clients their soul mandala and teaching them about their soul mandala. And not to say like if I would have known, but it now makes sense. Now I know, and now I help others with this because it literally creates a light bulb moment where, yes, her sun was a fire element, but her moon and her rising were water. And so since I was in my trauma years, the first few years as a mother, her anger was what was at surface. Always. She'd always be crying throughout the day. Even as a baby, like she'd cry every like she was hurt, like she had colic and she was hurting and all these things. And then as she grew up, it's like it would go to rage first. Hello. That's her that's obviously her sun in a fire element. And I had suppressed so much rage and anger. I had spiritually bypassed all of these feelings that I thought I had dealt with, and they started to come up to surface. And so she was that match on my skin of anger, like that bubbling sensation that like she would always create this like fight or flight response in my skin, in my body. And it was because that was past trauma lived in my body, stuck. And she was bringing that up to surface. She was like, hey, like, don't take it personal. Like, I'm going to activate you. I'm going to light you up right now with fire so you can remember, you go do your own personal shit. Don't put this on me. Take back your personal. So remember the right responsibility. So, oh my God, it really is incredible, like how it all works out when you can look at it from, looking backwards. And so it was really it was a journey, my dears. It was a journey, and I've spoken about it. You can hear more about it in my podcasts. So and so her water, underneath the water, after a couple of years, as I was tending my anger, as I tended all of my suppressed emotions, etc., and went through my own spiritual awakening season, healing journey, shadow land, a couple of years of like deeply my own shadows, not my daughter's, not my husband's, but my shadows. And recovering, like taking back like everything that I had blamed, like if they did it differently, then I would, like all of the blame. There was a couple of years where I really, really practiced, like every time my mind, my actions, my thought, like everything, I would like clearly see, like, am I blaming another? Like, am I blaming my father? Am I blaming my husband? Am I blaming my child? So like giving that back, taking that and not leaving the blame onto another. But what I was going to say is, after the fire, her two main, rising and moon in water, it was tears. Like after, she would always like lose, we would call it lose it, or they had a tantrum. What was underneath there was this depth of feelings inside of her. She's such an emotional, loving, compassionate being that she, of course, was like taking on all of these things that were not for her to take on. And so as she's still a very watery person. Yeah, side note, she was invited to a sleepover, and also being a projector, you know, they energetically absorb very quickly other people's energy, and they love it and they need it for their, you know, for their own life force. And she's learned that she cannot do sleepovers because it's really hard for her to have boundaries, and to not lose herself with others, which is the same thing with me, right? Where there was like no boundaries, you know, like, and we had to learn how to like, okay, this is mine, this is not yours. Me speaking to my daughter, like I had to learn how to do that, and now she knows how to do that with others. So but at the same time, she's like, I don't go to sleepovers because I know how hard it is for me. And sleep is one of the gifts for projectors. They actually need sleep to restore and to kind of clear themselves, and it's like their renewal, the sleeping. So of course, like sleeping by somebody, you're not going to get into that deep rest. So number 2, you call this in. You called this in. You called this in. The mystical teaching is we are one. So we called this in, bitches. We did. We called this beautiful child, this second child, this third child, this fourth child, how many ever children you have. You called forth your partner. Even if you have a different part, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But in the we are one, it really is that remembrance that unit, that trinity of father, mother, child, regardless of how you brought this child into earth to like in vitro or having somebody carry you, like all of the options, right? And in the kind of mystical language, it's the he and the she that creates the we, the trinity, like the mother, the mother, the father, and the child, which is also, if we look at it, it's like the sun, the heat, the masculine of the sun, feeds the moon, like not the moon, but like the earth, the she. And the sunlight actually allows the she, the earth, to produce. So why am I reminding us of this? Because when we can remember the spirituality and the oneness aspect, like the awness of it all, that we have to go back in remembering that it was all about the love. We have to at some moment within this lifetime, my dear, because we can, and because we're alive, and because we can choose to make it our rite of passage, right? Our rite of passage rebirth, my dear. So remembering that beautiful child of yours came here to help you see the beauty in the he, in the she, and in the we, period. In the sun, in the earth, in the alchemy of creating life on earth, of how beautiful it is. I mean, like, you know, it's the ecstasy, it's the lovemaking, it's the awe, it's the sunset that creates that peace and zen, you know, mystical experience. But can it also be in the dishes? And can it also be in the hard relationship that I still have it? Like, there's something about like my child or my husband, like there's something there. So the mystical theme is remembering the we. So if number 1 is it's remembering all about the love, number 2 would be it's remembering that the love, breaking that down, it is about the he, the she, and the we. You know, if I have beautiful non-binary beings listening to this, like within your own language, I've always said, take what you love and let go of the rest. And we do need a he and a she to create a we. And what was I going to say? Yeah. And yes, Yes to it all. Yes to it all, my beauties. Oh, and that yes, every single one of us obviously has internally a he and a she and a we as well. Um,